Good day, fellow geeks. On this week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth, we're going to be talking about 7.3 Week 2, Blizzard's new eSports arena, and problems in the Tomb of Sargeras, all that and more. This week's episode of Geeks of Azeroth.
You're listening to the Blizzard Community Podcast, produced by geeks, for geeks. Welcome to Geeks of Azeroth.
Hello, welcome to the show. My name's Tarley, and with me, we've got just Britzza.
Fumbling about with his mic just in time to answer that.
Zul was on his way to Disneyland, so unable to be here today, and SleepyGary is assumably sleeping. So, it's just the two of us today. So, Britzza, why don't you tell us what you've been up to? What have you been playing?
Yeah, the most words. I was going to say the least interesting member of Geeks of Azeroth takes the reins. No, seriously, with work and real life stuff, I haven't had that much time for Blizzard gaming at the moment, but I did get through the second week of patch 7.3, which was a very interesting one, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I know we can talk about it in just a moment, but it's a weird pace with that one. You kind of feel like you're not doing a huge amount, and then that cutscene happens, and I think, yeah, it's getting quite exciting. I'm wondering what week 3 is going to bring, because obviously I know we've talked about the events, but I haven't followed them massively closely, so I'm excited to see what next week brings. And yeah, just a bit of Legion. That's about it. It's quite boring for me, or quite standard. I'm not sure which.
All right. I mean, that's fair. You've gotten further in the Argus campaign than I have. I haven't even actually really done any of the 7.2 or 7.3 week 2 content. I'm very burned out from WoW, as we talked about last week, so I just really haven't been playing the game much at all. But I've been playing a lot of Overwatch. I've been playing a ton of it. I finally climbed my main account out of Elo hell, because I'm sure I've told the story on here before how I trashed my main account and had to have a second account just to play higher level ranked games again. But I climbed it out of the low hundreds, and I'm now back into Silver League. So finally making progress on my main account. So lots of Overwatch this week. Been playing a bit of League of Legends, actually. It's been a long time since I've hopped in that game, but playing that a bit.
Does it feel weird playing League? I haven't played League in years, so I wonder what it's like post Heroes.
It makes me realize, I mean, Heroes is a great game, no doubt about it, but man, does League of Legends actually have the MOBA just down. And it's so optimized. Like, it runs at 200 frames per second on my computer, and I'm just like, oh my god. It's just kind of crazy how good League runs compared to Heroes. But yeah, just kind of Overwatch and League, and a lot of still PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. That game is also
if only it was a Blizzard game.
I know, right? Blizzard, they should just make that.
Well, who knows? They might be.
Who
knows?
You never know. All right, so without further ado, we can jump right in. It's time for news. Where's the sounder? There it is. It's time for news of the week.
Hey, we recording? Yeah? Okay.
News of the week. That's right, it's time for news of the week, and this week it's kind of a slow week in news. First bit to talk about is, yes, the new 7.3 week 2 patch went live, bringing live the invasion points, as well as I guess everybody's been saying it wrong, Makari zone. So Britzza, you are the resident expert now on World of Warcraft. What would you?
Oh jeez. Oh jeez.
I mean, what do you think of the patch?
So week 2's, I guess there are people like yourself who haven't played it, so I'm not going to talk about what happens. There's obviously been a lot of screenshots appearing on Twitter, so people know that there's a very interesting cutscene towards the end of it. But I think in terms of Makari, I want to say Macari.
I know.
But I keep thinking of macaroni, and then it's making me hungry. But yeah, in terms of the zone, it's really interesting. The way you get introduced to that is really nice. I mean, I don't consider it a spoiler to say that Velen plays a part in that introduction, and it's really interesting to see that development. and it's exactly what we've been talking about. It's a completely untainted part of Argus. I mean, obviously there's problems going on with it, otherwise it'd be a pretty boring adventure, but I really like seeing some of that, you know, what Argus used to look like, and especially seeing some of the characters. Some of the characters you see there have been there since before Argus got all messed up, and you get to experience that lore firsthand. So it's really interesting to see that, and I really feel actually the pace of this has really played out quite well, because I think if we had to do this, say, if we'd done even just the last 2 weeks in 1 week, I think you would have felt a bit rushed, because I think people would have just powered through it to try and get into the Makari section. And I'm really glad we're taking our time with this. I know people don't feel necessarily 100% that way at the moment, but obviously in a couple of weeks you can just power through on ults. But I really like the way this story is being told, and it's getting pretty exciting, especially with certain characters joining the fold and that cutscene, which is pretty damn awesome. You will want to print screen that, by the way. Once you see the cutscene happen, get your finger over print screen, because it's pretty cool, like some of the stuff that happens there.
All right. Yeah, I'll definitely have to hop in. I'm actually going to be traveling here this coming week. I'll be gone for a week, and I'll have my laptop with me, and I'll have a lot of downtime where I'm not doing much, and I will have access to Wi-Fi. So that might just be a perfect opportunity, because WoW is one of the only games that still plays decently on my laptop. So,
and it's not that long. It's only about another hour worth of content, so it's pretty bite-sized.
Yeah. So I think I'll definitely hop in there, probably, unless I can install PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. If that works on my laptop, well, there goes any WoW time. But...
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm still hearing from everybody that this patch is still really good. There is quite a debate going on right now whether or not flying should be a thing, or whether they should introduce alternate travel mechanics, because, I mean, I already experienced this myself from the week 1 content, how frustrating navigating some of that second island can be. What are your thoughts on that, Britta? Do you think they should introduce flying, or introduce some kind of alternate travel mechanic other than just teleporting or using your ground mounts?
See, I think I can see why people want flying. I can see why what you talked about last week in terms of the placement of some of the beacons does make navigating some of the zones quite difficult. It would work. Don't get me wrong. I can see it working. I can't see a reason why flying wouldn't, would completely destroy it wouldn't destroy the zones completely. I just wonder if, I'm trying to think about it. I can't see a reason why not. In a sense, I don't have a burning desire to have it right now. I think you're right that the beacons are really kind of, there aren't many of them, and as a result you see a world quest that's like right in the corner of a zone, and you've got to run through lots and lots of different mobs. But I guess, like you said last week, that's kind of or as you, SleepyGary, said it, that this is Argus. We're supposed to be on their territory, and we're supposed to feel, really under threat at the moment. Like, we're not really safe at any moment. And also, we've got the it's not called the Fel Reaver, but the equivalent of the Fel Reaver. And right. I think having flying would kind of destroy a lot of the impact that they tried to clearly get with those things. But the alternative is that they have flying Fel Reavers, and that just absolutely terrifies me. I don't want anything to do with that. But on a serious note, bottom line, I think you could. I think you could have flying. Maybe Blizzard will cave in. I say cave in. Maybe they'll just introduce it like a month or two before the end of the expansion, and just say, listen, if you want to just go around grinding the hell out of Argus, here you go.
All right.
If you're happy with that.
I'm just reading a comment from Twitch chat here. I'm a little bit confused. Dad, I'm just going to kill them all and sort it out later. No flying, live or die.
Those are your two options. Live or die.
Live or die. Yeah. Those are your only options. That's true. I'm a little frightened by it.
It's when you start hearing the whispers in your earset. That's when you've got to worry a little bit.
Yes. I mean, either way, I think Blizzard's pretty solid on their stance that they're not adding flying, and so be it. There's going to be so much power gain eventually, and once Argus comes out and we get more and more, or Antorus comes out and we get more and more gear, all that stuff there is going to be really easy to kill. I mean, the same thing happened with 7 too. If you remember when that came out, a lot of the stuff on the Burning Shore, or the Broken Shore, whatever. Broken Shore?
That place.
Yes. When that place came out, everything was kind of difficult to kill, even if you had some gear. So,
actually, I want to talk about some of the stuff with that. Firstly, some of the world quests where you go and you jump in that, what is it called? It's not a golem, but that Lightforged machine, and you start going around killing things. Do we know if that's ever going to become a mount?
it is a mount, actually.
Oh, it is a mount.
Yeah. You get it. You have to be exalted with the light warriors of the light, whatever the one of the two new factions is, and it costs over 500,000 gold. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So there's no chance us mere mortals will ever get that. But
well, I might. I think that's possibly the closest I'm ever going to get to buying 2 WoW tokens.
Yeah.
Then, but that's a lot of rep grinding then. The other thing as well is doing some of those missions. I wanted to get your feel for how this patch kind of makes the battle against the Legion feel, because I did that world quest where you go and you jump in one of those and you just go around bombarding the Legion. And you know, I know there's multiple players doing it, but the amount of dead bodies everywhere just astounded me. Like, I can imagine some people's machines struggling with the amount of NPCs that are dead. And then at the end of that mission, you go up and blow up the Cenitax. The Cenitax, you know, the thing that's been troubling us for 9-10 months on the Broken Isles. You just go, oh yeah, that's in the sky, I'm going to take that out. And I just wonder, like, surely we are kicking the Legion's ass by now. Like, we must have absolutely annihilated them in real terms.
not necessarily, because maybe at least pushing them back, right? Because if we were kicking their ass completely, then we'd be on Taurus right now. But obviously they were worried, like, oh, we can't go in there yet, we would lose. So.
Yeah, I guess so. And I know the Infinite Army's a thing, which is, you know,
also
getting
hello,
addressed
Gary.
in this patch.
Hello, Gary. Gary is in chat, says hello.
He's returned from his slumber.
He has. Now, the real reason Gary is not here today, he has a screaming child, and screaming child is not something I know our listeners want to be a part of or have in their show. So
it is his screaming child, though, so he feels he has to look after it.
Yeah, it's not just a screaming child runs into his house from occasion and he can't show up that day.
Oh, now I've got to deal with this.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, Gary, let me know what you think, or Britzza, if you've seen it too. I've been making adjustments to the Twitch chat, or to the Twitch channel. Now our Twitch chat actually shows up on stream whenever people type stuff in. Also, if people follow us live, we will see it happen with an alert. Yay. Yay for awesome stuff.
Tech. It's only taken us 3 years.
I know. I know. What was I talking about? I just totally lost my train of thought. Pick up for me, Britzza.
Patch 7.3, Argus, and Taurus was, I think, the last thing you said.
And it's gone.
It's gone. It's never gone. To be heard again.
I mean, do you have any additions? Anything else you want to talk about, I guess, with this patch?
Not really. I think it's just going really well. I'm really excited to see.
Working as intended?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think Blizzard have done a really good job in pacing the releases each week. So my only regret is that I still feel a little bit of alt burnout in so much that I'm now, where the first week I managed to get all my characters to the same level, now I can see some starting to peel ahead, and I think I'm going to have to start dedicating more time to try and keep the pace on some of these characters, because otherwise I'll end up like I was in the main Legion content, where I've got one character who's so far behind I don't even touch it. So I don't want that to happen again.
Fair enough. So moving on from patch 7.3 week 2, some pretty much the only real Blizzard news that actually come out of this week, excuse me, was Blizzard is opening their first official eSports arena that is owned by Blizzard. And it's going to be first use for the grand finals of the Overwatch Contenders, which is kind of like the prelude series to the Overwatch League. Should be, and it's going to be open by October. And this will be able to host all sorts of esports events, and this is going to be in Los Angeles. Able to host all sorts of esports events from, StarCraft 2, #DeadGame.
I feel like I have to defend it now as the only other host.
World of Warcraft, you know, hashtag dead esport. But of course, Overwatch and Heroes of the Storm. I'm assuming HGC might start taking place there because this is a venue where they will sell tickets, so you can go and actually watch esporting events. Which again, the first one being the finals,
which you can buy tickets for now.
Yes,
the tickets are up, so and they're not sold out. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe people, because it's right at the bottom of the Blizzard press announcement, the link to go buy tickets. So I'm wondering if people might have missed it. But yeah, you can buy tickets for the first events.
I think it also is just in part by how relatively low publicity that the Overwatch Contenders is getting. I mean, like Blizzard's been hyping Overwatch League ever since they announced it, but a lot of people don't even know that Overwatch Contenders is happening. Like, I mean, even the World Cup got huge amounts of viewers when it was online, but the Contenders, if you hop on, it has not had a steady amount of views like HGC or something like that.
But there's a lot happening in Blizzard esports. You know, we had WoW PvP happening over the weekend. Like you say, we've had the big competitions, the World Cup, early stages. We've HDCs obviously going on. You know, I think there's just a huge agenda of Blizzard esports at the moment. So I guess you're going to get situations where, you know, stuff falls into the back. I guess we're too used to, what I'm trying to say is we're too used to having big announcements because there's often not been too much going on by comparison.
Dragon, I don't know how to say your name in there. Twitch chat. Are you going to be able to get streaming tickets? I think everything will just be broadcast on Twitch. I don't think you actually need... It's not like the BlizzCon virtual ticket or anything. You'll just be able to watch anything that's streamed there.
Or will you?
Or yeah, I guess that is actually a good question. So far, they haven't made any kind of announcement like that. That would be a bummer. I think Blizzard, especially with the partnerships they've made with Twitch lately.
I don't know. I can see, you know, there's room for them to do it.
Like you know, they could do like. I can just see Blizzard now doing this like NFL Sunday ticket thing with the Overwatch League, where you literally have to pay to watch their. No, I think.
No, we're struggling down EA territory here.
Yeah, that would be bad. That would be a really bad move for Blizzard.
But you say that if say HGC, they've got a Twitch, or maybe they don't. Maybe they get rid of the free view option, and maybe they say, listen, we're going to do streaming tickets, but on top of being able to see the stuff, you'll get an exclusive Overwatch skin for that event. It's bad, but I can see people doing it.
I could see EA doing that. I can't see Blizzard doing that. I can see Blizzard doing like, you know, exclusive like team skins and stuff in Overwatch. If like you subscribe to the League channel, but I just don't see them having it being completely locked off because that would honestly kill them. I don't think they would get the viewership that they want if they lock it watching the stream behind a paywall.
That's a good discussion at some point. Like, what the future of Blizzard esports streaming could look like, because they could introduce a subscription model.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's more of just a conversation for all esports in general, not just...
True.
Because Blizzard has been really trying for a long time to compete with Riot and Valve with the attention that CSGO and Dota 2 and League of Legends get as far as esports go. And Blizzard has not managed to do that, and I think if they went for a paid model, that would just completely ruin it. But as esports streaming in general, I could maybe see it once it gets even more popular than it is today. I could see the genre actually, or the I don't know, the pay style, I don't know what you'd call it, but I could see the whole subscription model moving in that direction, but not for a while. And I don't think Blizzard would be the one to start it.
That's fair enough. What do you think about Burbank
on fire
being the site? Yeah,
Burbank is on fire.
Well,
yes.
Hopefully not. But in terms of the studios themselves, I think they don't, in the notes we've got, they don't say how many numbers can fit into there, but I think it's about 400, 450. What do you think about that in terms of a capacity? Do you think that's too small, or 450 is quite comfortable?
I mean, you like looking at like the StarCraft studio at the ESL place in Korea only seats like 200 people, And
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so that, I mean, that fills up regularly. The League of Legends studio, where they just form their LCS every week, that only seats about 400, 500 people. So that's actually pretty average, I think, for an esports arena. With it being that small, it may not be the place where Blizzard actually wants to have all of their grand finale games, because those obviously do draw, like you know, Worlds competition for League of Legends, for example. Draws thousands and thousands. So, but just for their regular competition weekly games, you know, I think it'd be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, interesting that they're going to have the Hearthstone Championship Tour happening there, and they say the Summer Championship's happening with $250,000 on the line. But if I'm right, I don't think that gets given away on that week.
No,
does it? No, I was.
We know a lot about what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen.
I basically, bouncing off your point, if they're going to give away a £250,000 check at this studio, then that surprises me, because clearly they're going to have their flagship matches there. But who knows? Who knows? And it's interesting as well, because this is going to be obviously in Los Angeles, and a lot of the title championships, or the finals at least of those championships, will happen at BlizzCon. So they'll have this studio that I guess has to fill the calendar throughout the year up until BlizzCon.
I know, like, this place will probably at least it'll fill that gap for the Los Angeles teams for the Overwatch League, for example, where they will have their weekly exhibition. Thank you. So it'll fill that gap, and there should be hopefully esports arenas in every city that has a team, but maybe for the first year of Overwatch League they'll all just be playing in Los Angeles. But because that's what I see the venue being, like, more just for exhibition play and not for tournament play. But who knows?
That's a good point.
Also, hello, Dad. I actually think that's Gary's dad watching the stream, so thank you for tuning in.
Gary's dad, isn't he on your raid team?
Yes. Well, he's in our guild. Has yet to raid with us, I think. I can't remember. I'm sorry for all the beeps. I'm getting so many Facebook. I need to close Facebook because I keep getting all these messages.
Stop being social.
I'm sorry. We have a show to do.
Lock yourself off from the rest of the world like the rest of us.
Yep. Goodbye, friends. Hello, darkness, my old friend. All right. Let's move right in. I think we have a couple things we can actually fill the time with in discussion of the week, so we're going to jump right into discussion of the week.
And then he swooped down from above. I tell ya, you should have seen the size of those wings. I swear, Boron's axe could hardly cut through a gnome. What's a drenna anyhow? Can I drink it?
Discussion of the week.
That's right, it's time for discussion of the week, and we've got a couple things to discuss. First off, Britzza has his own topic that he wanted to discuss with us. So Britzza, why don't you introduce us to the topic?
Yes, so I think this is going to be probably a short one, because I don't think we profess to be massive lore knowers or anything like that. But something that's kind of struck me, and it was a really loose connection, because you know that scene where the Vindicar pulls away from Azeroth and heads towards Argus. Obviously, you see all of Azeroth, and in particular in the corner, you see the I've forgotten the name of it now. The storm at the center of Azeroth. Maelstrom? The Maelstrom. That's it. And it kind of got me thinking.
The Hurricane Irma.
Tell well, yeah. You can tell I'm not really a lore guy at all. But it kind of got me thinking about what would have happened in this Argus campaign. And I know this is a bit of a silly question given what I'm about to say, but what would have happened to Legion, or how would the events of Legion played out differently if we had if the other previous expansions had not gone the same way as they had? So, for example, when I was thinking about the Maelstrom, I was sitting there thinking, well, what if the Legion had tried to invade while Deathwing was still going nuts in the Maelstrom or something like that.
Would Deathwing turn and fight with us because he doesn't, or would he just destroy the world anyway and say no?
Well, that's what I don't. Yeah, and then that could have turned into a really interesting expansion of us trying to sneak Deathwing into Argus and let him just blow up.
I don't know what planet I'm on.
Like 50 ways to blow up your dragon or something like that.
How to blow up your dragon? Yes, a new movie by Blizzard. Well, just reading the show notes or reading this topic actually kind of just sparked the thought in my mind, because we know that after Blizzard made Mists of Pandaria, when Mists of Pandaria was almost done, they were at the point of they were trying to decide which expansion to do next, and they had Warlords of Draenor and Legion in the pipeline when Mists of Pandaria was coming out. And you can definitely see this in the design of Mists of Pandaria, like with Rathian talking about the Burning Legion invasion and so on and so forth. But it begs the question to me, like, how would Warlords of Draenor work, or have worked, if it came after Legion? Like, because obviously they can always introduce the Legion expansion, right? It's a Legion invasion, like that's very easy to just get into that expansion, but the Warlords of Draenor was very heavily tied to how Mists of Pandaria ended, with Garrosh going off and doing his thing, and then we follow after him. Or no, the Iron Horde invades us. So, Britzza, how do you think that would have been done? How that would have been handled?
My gut instinct says that Garrosh would have just got the same treatment as Jaina. They just would have written him out for an expansion and said, "Oh, he's off doing things and he's pissed." And then the Iron Horde, which is really bad because they are quite well. They are quite literally interchangeable. They are both characters who are horrendously annoyed at the situation of how Siege of Orgrimmar played out, and they could both easily disappear for an expansion and have no impact on the current one. So, I guess they just would have. It would have gone exactly the same. Yeah. But I see your point, because
I feel like it would. I mean, again, to avoid the spoilers again, because we have talked about how this expansion ends when we know how it ends, but I feel like it would have been really anticlimactic, or not anticlimactic, but less impactful if we go from how this expansion ends, as we've talked about, to then just the Iron Horde, right? Like, it just doesn't feel like it would have been the right order. Like, oh yeah, we can deal with these orcs after we just dealt with all this stuff here on Argus. You know, I think that potentially could have been a factor.
Well, how would that have worked anyways? Because Gul'dan was trying to tempt us into the Legion, and
right.
I think one of the situations. Obviously, we're fighting the Legion. They're not going to. It's fair to say they're not going to be as strong or a threat at the end of this expansion, because that's the point of an expansion. You beat the threat. But how
would they have gotten here in the first place? Here, right? Because we go to Warlords, and that sets in motion getting Gul'dan back. Yeah.
Exactly, which is kind of an odd one. I'm trying to think how it could have gone any other way. Like, what role would have Gul'dan played?
But then it also brings the question then, like, what would the systems have looked like? So imagine Legion's content, like as far as map and end game content, but with Warlord's systems. So but then imagine Warlords of Draenor if it had world quests and world events and scalable zones and all that and the other. Would Warlords have been a better expansion if it had Legion systems? And vice versa, would Legion be a worse expansion if it had Warlords systems?
That's a really good point. I definitely think Legion would have been a worse expansion if it had used Warlord systems. You know, they wouldn't have had world quests. We wouldn't have had artifacts.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, avoiding spoilers, but the way Legion goes, I think that would be a really tough act to follow. I totally agree with your idea of being an anti-climax, given what we're seeing in this expansion. I think obviously it's been added to in light of how Warlords played out, so it's kind of difficult to imagine how the original Legion idea, when it was compared to Warlords and they were weighing out which one to go first, how that now sits compared to what came out. But I definitely feel Legion's strengths are these game systems that they've obviously developed in light of Warlords. So but if it had been reversed, I think that Legion would have suffered. But they could still do it. Like, in terms of what Legion systems would look like in Warlords, I guess you would have, like, Iron Horde invasions where they burrowed under the surface and popped out somewhere or something. Or
yeah,
I don't know, because they couldn't. Again, it's really odd because think about the final raid. How could you have that final raid in an expansion where we're supposed to have put the Legion at least in their place? So
yeah, I think it just when you try to think of it this way, it just kind of makes you realize that Warlords probably would have been a much better expansion if they just hadn't tried to rush from it to the next expansion, right? Like if they would have put as much time into it as they did Legion, then it would have been a great expansion because there was a lot to love about Warlords of Draenor. It just ran dry very quickly.
And yeah, I think there's a lot of great content there. I mean, can you imagine what it would be like to see Velen's development in Legion and then go back and find out about Velen before before what happens in Legion happens? I think that would be a really interesting story. But as a result, we kind of got two Velens at the same time. I'm not suggesting anything about what happens to Velen in Legion because I can't even remember off the top of my head. But I think that would have been a really interesting comparison because you can't do that with many characters. But the other side of it, and something that I've thought about, is you think about how the Iron Horde ended Warlords, where they had beaten the Legion, they had reclaimed their homeland, and they had found peace with the Draenei. And you think, fantastic, it's brilliant. We've saved your homeworld. Why didn't no one say, listen, can you possibly come over to ours and help us out now? What is the Iron Horde doing in Warlords? And it made me think about whether to do this for a video, looking at some of the factions and what their role is in Legion. But the Iron Horde in particular, I feel like they owe us one. But they haven't turned up.
Right, I know. Where's Grom? Is he just hanging out in Grommy Sanctum, not doing?
Yeah, maybe. Just they're all hanging out in Ashran.
Yeah, just playing pickup sticks or something. Yeah, this is definitely completely off topic. But you mentioned invasions and your thought of how they would work in Warlords of Draenor now makes me think of how Blizzard could continue the idea of invasions into the next expansion. So again, completely off topic, but I think it's something that interesting, worth discussing, because it makes me think of public events in Guild Wars 2, and how interesting those were. How if there's literally towns on the map, player hubs, towns that could just be if there weren't enough people there, no one was paying attention, they could literally be overrun and then taken over by a hostile NPC faction, and then players would have to group up together and actually reclaim the town. And I'm just thinking about the possibility of this type of invasion-esque scenario in the next expansion, where coastal cities, basically any kind of coastal area on the Azerothian player base could be overrun by Naga and actually potentially completely taken over, and you have to go back to these towns and get them back. I think that could be a pretty interesting mechanic for future invasions.
That could be. I think that's kind of something in a sense that is lacking from Legion invasions, in so much that you think what most of them are, it's a demon has spawned and he's wandering down a path back and forth, and you think, well, that's not really, you'd expect him
if I wait 2 hours, it'll be gone regardless. So
exactly, yeah, he'll get bored or something. But by comparison, if you had said, a Legion boss or his cronies have suddenly beamed into one of the major towns, I'm talking something with an innkeeper, for example, and that was now unavailable until you all ganged up and went back.
Take it back,
yeah, that would be an interesting way to do it, because that actually makes Invasion offend. The reason it's great is because you'll get lots of participation, because it actually affects all gamers, regardless of whether they're looking for loot or they're looking for story or love, like we all are, really. Maybe that's what we need to fight the Legion with, a bit more love.
Let's just give Sargeras a hug.
Wouldn't that be funny if that's the final cinematic? It's just Khadgar.
There's work to be done. Just goes up. Yes.
Legion, not love, baby.
Yeah. All right, so a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I'd like to see how Blizzard further develops their mechanics, because that seems to be the thing that changes most throughout these expansions, and that's what killed Warlords of Draenor, was lack of systems, lack of endgame content. Legion has a lot of it, and so we'll see how it evolves moving forward. So I also had a discussion that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the current problem with the design philosophy of the Tomb of Sargeras, and really hoping that this design philosophy does not move forward into On Taurus, the Burning Throne. And so that problem being is boss mechanics, overlapping boss mechanics, and how it has caused major problems for progression guilds. Whether your guild is either a heroic progression guild or a mythic progression guild, whichever pace you're set at, you eventually keep running into the same problems that can happen on a weekly basis, like we're running into on our heroic raid team with overlapping mechanics. And we're seeing mythic raid teams, either they've got their Kill Jaden kill and they're saying we're not even going to do it again, we just wanted the achievement and we're done, or they're not even bothering to do it. And some are even not even doing Fallen Avatar because of just how frustrating and how RNG based the raid fights are. So the common problem that we're seeing is we're having very similar mechanics on every raid fight. We're seeing a lot of soak abilities and use your immunities. And I am getting this topic from another video. It's from Preach on YouTube. If you've ever watched him, he does a lot of WoW content. He's a mythic raider. So I did get this idea from him. But he talks about how Blizzard just implemented basically a required immunity soaking ability on almost every single fight because people were using immunities to cheese mechanics in raid fights. So Blizzard's answer to that was to just implement a mechanic that requires somebody in your raid group to use an immunity to absorb it, and so they won't be using it in other ways. But now we're seeing this happen in such frustrating ways where like these soaks overlap with other mechanics, and then that'll overlap with a third mechanic, and then just purely RNG based, people are going to die as a guarantee. And that has become a very frustrating thing to deal with from a progression perspective, when it's not a matter of we don't have the DPS to kill this boss, or we're not good enough at mechanics to do this boss, but the mechanics being so unforgiving and so punishing that if one person makes a mistake, even on heroic, one person makes a mistake, it's enough to wipe the raid. So that's the current state of Tomb of Sargeras, and I know our raiders, I mean, we've been kind of stuck at an 8 out of 9 heroic progression for a few weeks now, and it's just been getting more and more frustrating as we're seeing, like, because we're still wiping on these bosses that we would normally, if it was Nighthold, for example, we would be clearing the whole place in a night with ease at this point. So it's Tomb of Sargeras is definitely frustrating from a design perspective, and a lot of people are really hoping that on Taurus doesn't go this way.
I mean, it's a bit of a sidestep into the topic, but are you finding that some, I don't know, are you coming across I'm trying to think actually what eye level are most of your guild members by this point?
We're between like 925 and 935.
Okay.
So I mean, a lot of us, you know, numbers wise and stuff like that, we could potentially be doing mythic if we had 20 people and stuff like that. I mean, we actually meet the numbers requirements for it.
That's the thing, and I totally see what you're getting at. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience myself. I still haven't broken that raiding bubble yet properly. It's a shame, really, but I can understand the frustration, because it seems like where it comes to balancing raids in Legion, it's either been absolutely perfect or it's been just a pendulum smashing through back and forth through raids, like in terms of tuning these things. You know, we look back at things like Helya and how that played out, and what a nightmare that was. And I guess that was abusing mechanics, you know, and the bans that followed that were, I guess, fair. But it's, I don't know. I guess the question to you is, do you think it's a case that there are too many mechanics, or do you think it's just a case the mechanics are just not tuned correctly?
I just think it seems like, and it happens a lot in raids, that Blizzard like finds a mechanic that they like and then they implement it on almost every boss fight in one way or another. And the way that they've implemented this raid, the soaking, has just made that the RNG factor just incredibly frustrating. And Blizzard has they talked about how they actually make the raids, is that they divided up into teams, and so with Tomb of Sargeras specifically, 3 people did, or a team did 3 bosses, another team did 3 bosses, another team did 3 bosses, and then they melded it together. So which is interesting. I mean, and you can see that philosophy a little bit, but there must have been some kind of overarching, like, they have to follow these guidelines because of how similar a lot of the fights are. And then it's frustrating, like, if you're looking, we're looking into mythic mechanics because we might actually do mythic at some point, and then you see, oh, well, the added mythic mechanic is another soak. Awesome. So it's really, I don't know, I think it is just some kind of design philosophy that they had with Tomb that is kind of, you know, making a lot of their current raiders weary. And on your point, Snow, yes, we progressed on heroic Gul'dan for about a month. But to that point, we were still a new raid team as far as our working together. Like, we hadn't been playing as a group, as a raid team for as long as we have now. And we were solidly clearing up to Gul'dan with ease every week. Where at this point, we're still at a frustrating pace of just getting to kill Jaden, if we even get to kill Jaden, which is sometimes still in question during the week. So that's where the frustration comes from at this point versus Nighthold.
And it's interesting that how these mechanics will affect LFR, because as we know, LFR is going to get the way they're tuning it is that they're fed up with, I say fed up is a bit harsh, but Blizzard doesn't like the fact that in LFR you can just ignore mechanics. So they're going to start taking some mechanics out and tune up ones that exist and make them meaningful. So if you have these soak mechanics, which are overlap with more damage dealing mechanics, and that's combined with a community of raiders that, 1, certainly aren't communicating with one another, and 2, perhaps are using LFR as a gateway into their class, then you probably might get something that's a little bit messy. And that would be the worst thing, is if it starts pushing people away from raiding, because, you know, we've done. Is it fair to say that Legion's brought a lot more people into raiding than other expansions?
I would think so. I mean, because look, this is the most hardcore I've ever been into raiding. I mean, I haven't even raided this like at all since Cataclysm, like aside from LFR. So I definitely think it brings people. It has brought people into raiding for sure, and I think there's a good amount of our raid team right now that they were like Warlords babies, but now they're raiding because of this expansion, which surprised me. I was like, what made you want to play during Warlords? But that aside, you know, like, they're super into raiding now too, and they're the most tryhards on our team. So yeah, I think this expansion has definitely made people want to raid, and I just hope people don't think that Tomb of Sargeras is how raiding has always been, because it's not. It's been a lot better. And you know, I love Tomb. When we first started Tomb, like Tomb first came out, and it was like our B team like stormed through that place on normal mode, and our A team did pretty well opening week on heroic. And I really liked the raid, but now that we've been you know raiding the same spot for as long as we have, it's just like, oh man. The good news is there is a light at the end of the tunnel. They have started raid testing on Taurus the Burning Throne, and just looking at some of these fights, it is looking less soaky anyway, and more like the first boss has a mechanic where he basically, the first boss of a raid is usually pretty simple, but he's got 2 main mechanics that you have to worry about. One is like ads, and another one is a big like slice of the room gets blown up, and you have to kind of avoid all this stuff. But then he like bends over, and he's got these 2, he's a giant robot, and he's got these 2 machines on his back, and you can, at this point, you can kill one of the 2 of these machines, and then it eliminates one of the mechanics that are happening, but it makes the other mechanic extremely difficult. So that's actually a really interesting boss mechanic so far, and so I think that could be interesting.
Will that just go down the route that there is a go-to option though?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there will be yes, we definitely picked this mechanic first. But that was just heroic that was tested, so it maybe even add like a 3rd mechanic or something interesting for mythic. I don't know. I mean, are you still interested in raiding, Britzza? I mean, what's your thought? I mean, have you seen any of this talk other than like what I've been saying? Have you seen the community speaking out about it at all?
I personally haven't seen it, but I haven't done much raiding at all. I know when we talked about raiding, and I've said, yeah, actually, I'm going to jump straight into it, and then I get caught up in all my other things, and it's a time thing in my case. But without going into that, I haven't seen a huge amount, but the issue is that I'm not a heroic raider, and I'm not someone who's spending, you know, a good amount of their time each week trying to progress on this. So I can completely understand where teams like yours, where you are putting in that time and effort which you could spend on other things, and you're just not getting past this mechanic, or a series of mechanics in this case, full stop. And it's not a gear check, it's not a healing check or anything like that. It's not down to the players. It's just, unfortunately, it's too many Venn diagrams overlapping to create a really nasty situation. And that's why I do feel for raiders like you are in that situation, because it's not fair in some respects, and you shouldn't have to wait for like a new expansion or like a gear buff with a new patch to be able to clear it. Yeah.
And we had a relatively easier night last night in our night 1 of 2 for A team's progression this week. I mean, and I feel like it imparts to the gearing that people have received from doing, you know, the new content, the 7.3 content. But I mean, our DPS is now so good on A team. Like, our lowest DPS at one point on one fight was just shy of 1 million DPS, and that was like our lowest. So I mean, we were killing bosses just much faster than average, and I think that is helping. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of frustrating that is what's getting us past, is just being able to DPS faster than mechanics can kill us.
Which is what raiding is all about, I think.
Yeah. I guess this bad. And Gary actually made a really good point in the chat that, yes, all of these fights, like, these are not poorly designed fights. They're all really good. It is just really frustrating that they're all in the same raid with each other because of how similar they are and stuff like that. I mean, think like Maiden of Virtue or Vigilant. I can't remember which Maiden she is, but the one that's her own boss fight. She's really interesting. Her whole Guitar Hero phase and falling into the pit to expel your bombs and all that. Like, that's a very interesting fight, and I haven't seen anything like that fight before. But you still have to soak.
Everyone pop bubble in the first 5 seconds. That's how it works.
But yeah, I'm hopeful for on Taurus. I mean, Blizzard tends to listen to their community, and especially when a lot of their community stops playing the game. So,
well, if no one can clear it, then they have to just take it back to the drawing board,
right?
I guess.
Yeah, when you see a lot of Mythic teams just not saying, no, we're not even going to bother with the last boss. You know something's up.
Yeah. So, but as well, the other, my last point on this is that Blizzard wants us to all see that content. Right. They want us to all have the options to get those achievements, those mounts, and even just the pride of being able to clear heroic, whatever end boss is. So I feel guilty for saying it's down to them, because I know that's not the outcome they want. But unfortunately, sometimes you just can't predict how these play out, and it sucks a bit.
It does. I agree. All right. I'm going to roll. We're going to play a little game to wrap up the show. I'm going to play the sounder just because it's such an awesome sounder for 20 questions, but we're not going to play 20 questions. Here's the sounder.
Geeks of Azeroth, the moment has arrived. Have you studied the lore?
Studied the lore? I am the lore!
It's time for Blizzard 20 questions.
Alright, so we could play 20 questions today, but it would be kind of boring because it's just Britzza and me.
I think you would have paused there. It would be bad because it's just Britzza. Yeah.
No, it's just the two of us. So we're going to play a game that actually both of us will participate in. So as an avid podcast listener, I actually got this game from, it was the IGN Games Podcast Weekly Game Scoop. And they just called the video game alphabet. And, of course, we're going to put a Blizzard spin on that and call it the Blizney Land Game Blizz Alphabet. The Blizz Alphabet? Sure.
Blalphabet.
Blalphabet. So basically the point of this game is we're going to go from A to Z or to Z. I don't know which you prefer. And we're going to try to think of 3 things for each letter that are in the Blizzard universe.
3 things for each letter?
Yes.
Okay.
On Taurus.
Argus. Artifact weapon.
Okay, awesome. On to B.
Or Ashbringer, if I need to be specific.
Yeah, well, I'm bad at this already.
botanist. What's his face?
Just botanist. We'll just go with botanist.
Botanist, yeah.
Baddies. No, that's
Baddies?
they exist in World of Warcraft. Just look at my raid team. Just kidding. Just trying to trigger Gary. Bolvar.
Oh, Gary's Bolvar. Yeah.
Bolvar.
That's a good one.
Wow. Britzza?
Yeah, I would love to be part of Blizzard lore.
We're struggling with the game already.
B that Borean Tundra.
Borean Tundra. All right. C. Braxis holdout. Yeah. Cats. There are cats in World of Warcraft.
There are. Chromie.
Chromie. Yep.
Getting a very Warcraft theme here. Is it any Blizzard game?
It's any Krendor for WoW Krendor.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take that. Yeah, community.
Yeah, there you Caldera.
Or Caldara.
Yeah.
As Snow says.
All right, so D.
Deathwing.
Deathwing. Death Knight.
Yeah.
D's nuts.
The ultimate artifact weapon.
D.
Deep
Home. Okay.
Deep Home. Yep.
Yeah. E. Alexstrasza?
No, it's A.
Alex, though. Alex the Mount.
Alex. Oh, yep. Alex the Mount.
Yep.
Exodar.
Exodar. Yep.
And we're not hitting in many of the other
Blizzard
games.
That just shows that we are a WoW podcast originally. E for everyone. Hearthstone's rating. Is E for everyone. Emancipation.
Okay. We're going down an interesting line here. E, there's got to be a zone or something that's E. Alex Exodar.
The Earthen Shield.
Oh, Edwin Van Cleef.
Edwin, there you go. F.
Falinar.
All right.
I'm
having trouble thinking of anything from any other Blizzard game. Ferondis.
Yeah.
Prince Ferondis.
F. I can't think of any. I'm trying to think of something non-WoW.
I know.
Just to spice it up, and there's nothing.
Yeah.
Can't even think of an Overwatch hero that begins with F.
Frankenhog.
Frankenhog.
It is a skin for him.
Oh, let's just go with that.
All right.
I think that's fair.
There we go. G.
Or Farah, sorry.
No, well, that's PH. That's PH. That's PH.
Oh, it's PH.
It's P. It's not with an F.
I can't spell. I'm thinking of Prince of Persia. That's fine.
G. Gul'dan.
Mm-hmm.
Grom. Garrosh. That was easy.
Okay, yeah. And Gorhal. You could have gone Grom. Yeah. Garrosh and Gorhal.
H. Hellfire Peninsula. Helheim.
And hell yeah?
And hell yeah. All right. Yeah. Very easy. I. Ice Crown Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
The Irintor?
Can we also do Ice Cream Citadel?
Sure. Ice Cream Citadel, okay. Number 3.
That's coming to BlizzCon.
Garrosh Ice Cream.
Sweet. Ice Cream Citadel.
Ice Cream Citadel.
Oh, Ice Crown. Oh God, I'm thinking of ice cream now. Thanks, Snow.
Ice. Bound Fortitude. Death Knight ability. Here we go.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
And Icy Veins. There we go. The website.
Yeah, the website.
J.
Makes very tenuous links here, but I guess we got to.
Junkrat.
Jaina. And...
Junkertown. The new Overwatch map. There we go.
So it's the theme. Name location, name character from that location.
Yeah. So, okay. Khadgar.
Kieran Tor. Name character, name faction of character.
Kazan.
Or Karazhan.
Or Karazhan.
Oh, Kazan. Sorry, Kazan. Yeah. God, Kazan doesn't get much love, does he?
Yeah. Of course, Snow has... Where are you, Gary? Snow has the StarCraft answer.
No, Snow, you're not cheating.
No,
by typing
we're
things.
all participating in this game.
So, what comes after K? L. Does anyone else have to do the full alphabet to find out letters after certain letters?
Yeah, I've been...
I can't do it any other way.
L.
Lorgar.
Okay. Logash.
Logash. Go with Logash.
Okay.
I can't think of it. Lorgar's a character. Yeah.
Lore, the community developer.
Yes.
And Lordaeron.
Yes.
All right. M. How did I'm just thinking back to D. How did we not say Diablo? Anyway,
I think it's because we don't play it as much as we probably should.
Malthael.
Now you're speaking of Diablo.
Yeah, Malthael. There you go. Maradon. Yep. And Muradin, the place and the dwarf.
Oh God!
We go. Awesome. And Nazoth, Nazebo, Naltharian's Lair. There we go.
Yes.
Overwatch.
Yes.
Overlords. Yeah, sure. And Obsidian Sanctum.
Yeah, I was gonna say Oasis.
Yeah, that would work too. So, Oculus. P.
Farah.
Take
that.
Yeah. Yes.
I can spell. I can.
Pride Ass, the legendary Nick.
Oh right, yeah.
And
Primal Zerg.
Good. There you go.
I don't know why I was thinking of that, but hey.
This one's gonna be tough. We got Q.
Q. Oh Jesus! I know there's an item that begins with Q. Of course, there's an item that begins with Q.
Quintuple kill. It's if you kill the entire team in Overwatch.
Yes. Yep.
There's one. Quillen.
Quillen.
They're the things from Pandaria, like the stone lions.
Oh right, yeah.
Just one more.
I want to say Quest, but I feel that's a bit of a cop out.
No, there you go, Quest.
We'll take it.
Or Quel'Thalas. Thanks, Gary. Why didn't we think of that? Yeah, Quel'Thalas.
Do any of us? Oh God, Quel'Thalas. Is that's the island from Burning Crusade, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is that?
Yeah.
God, I love that place.
We've played this game.
Clearly.
R. Roadhog. Rogues.
And let's go with Rage, because that's a mechanic.
All right. And Rage. S. Snow. Just kidding. She doesn't count. S.
Suramar.
Suramar. S. Senpai.
Notice me. Scarlet Monastery.
Scarlet Monastery. Yep. And
What? That must be a name of an artifact weapon or something.
Sanguine.
Sanguine.
It's a mechanic in Mythic Plus.
Yeah.
Sirgwin? Yeah, the Valkyrie lady. I don't know how to say it, but sure. So, did we say Sylvanas?
Oh no, we haven't said Sylvanas. That minor character.
Yeah, that one. T. Tracer. Terranzu. Yes, thank you, Snow. And the Tiger Peaks in Pandaria.
Yes.
All right.
Nice one.
You.
Undercity.
Undercity, yes. Undermine.
Utgard and Utgard Keep.
All right. Why do we have such a problem with S and not U?
I think it's because we know places slightly better than we know anything else.
V. We got V. Victory.
The
Valajar.
Valajar. I'll go with Valera.
Valera. And
Vol'jin. We can't say... Zul will kill us if we don't say Vol'jin.
Yeah, he would. W. World of Warcraft. That's two W's.
Yeah, let's go World of Warcraft. I can't believe we haven't named pretty much a single hero's hero.
No. You said Chromie.
Oh, yeah.
And Garrosh.
Yes. Okay, I'll take it back.
The W. World of Warcraft. Wimbledon?
Wait.
Wintergrasp. There we go.
Oh, and...
Wailing Caverns.
And One Rest the Chord, I was going to say.
One Rest the Chord, yeah. Duh. Okay, wow.
Hitting those W's, yeah. Love it.
X. I think this is the one that stops us.
Zera?
Okay. Zera. No, I just need to think of all their names because I think they all start with X.
Oh, God.
Zul. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, Zul from Heroes starts with an X. And XCOM? Blizzard Unknown?
I'd love to see that as a game.
X Xylophone, Xenophobia.
Again, going down an interesting line. Is there not like a name of a like a StarCraft thing?
You would think.
Xeno something.
Xenomorph.
Yeah, I know. Clearly been watching too much Alien.
I don't know. I think we're stumped for
We'll get it.
X.
We'll get it. X.
X. Developer Tom Shilton?
Oh, God. There aren't many things.
No.
I can't be. The name of a Diablo thing.
X marks the spot.
Hearthstone thing.
Not available on Xbox.
Yeah.
I
Okay, I think we probably got stumped by X.
I think we're stumped
Keep
by
going.
X. Why?
We got this, I think. Yellow tabard. Yellow bag.
Yellow bag.
Yeah.
Urel. Yeah, Urel from
Uriel, yeah.
from Warlords. I feel like there's like someone from Ice Crown, like one of the Nordish people, Ymir or something like that. That starts with a Y.
Yeah.
And
I think
Ysera.
that's
Ymir and Ysera. We'll go with that.
Oh, fantastic. Thank
Z,
you, Gary.
Zerg, Zergling,
Zeratul.
and Zeratul. There we go. We win. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, you can check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also catch us on Twitter at Geeks of Azeroth. You can find me personally at Tarley_pause. Britzza, where can we find you?
You can find me at Britzza_EG.
And you can always contact the show with your questions, messages, fan mail, and send, oh yeah, Zelnaga. Thanks, Gary. You can send us ideas for games that you would want us to play on the show, as well as just 20 questions. Just send all that to geeksofazerotheg@gmail.com. And remember to check out epicgeeks.co.uk for all our content. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Everyone have a great week in Azeroth. Bye-bye.